Hello and welcome to Mickey Art. My name's Michelle Edhouse and today I'm playing with a new, well, it's not a new brand, but it is a new premix. I have never used this premix before, but if you've been following me for a while, you know that the Reeves Fine Artist acrylic paint is my favourite. It is the one that I paint with whenever I mix my own paints. I love it. That and Floetrol is my go-to. Now, if you've never come across acrylic pouring before, it is fun, it's addictive, and it can be extremely frustrating if you can't get the mix right. So there's a lot of brands out there that have come out with pre-mixed paint formulas, and you can buy them. Like this one has 4 colours. That one to me looks like phthalo blue. That one reminds me of ultramarine. That one is just a purple. And this one's a white. And I've also got a another box that I'll play with in another video with metallics. So who knows what's coming if these guys work out well. I've tried several different, at least 2, maybe 3 pouring systems and had varying results, and it obviously depends on what you are after as to whether or not they create the results you like. Now, the picture that they show for this set is it has cell structures. Not a lot of them. It's not inundated with cells, but it definitely has, it gives you the sense that you will get some cells. And it says, no mixing required, make your own unique marble effect artwork. Pour colours directly onto the surface or layer multiple colours in a cup and then pour onto the surface. Shift or swirl the area to spread the colours. 4 hours touch dry, 24 hours dried. Now, anybody that has done acrylic pouring before knows that that can vary normally between 24 hours and 6 days, depending on what your temperatures are like, what your humidity is like, all those sorts of things. But this is saying that sealer can be applied after 24 hours. So I am quite fascinated to see if that is true. It says you can clean up with soap and water. They recommend a drop sheet, which I always use anyway, and disposable gloves are recommended during the painting process. I don't normally wear gloves. I'm told off numerous times by my beautiful viewers, but I don't normally wear gloves, and from that I end up with nails that kind of chip and stuff at the end, and sometimes dry hands depending on how much painting I'm doing, but I'm good with that. Yeah, anyway, let's not go there. So this kit came with 4 colours pre-mixed. Each bottle has 100 mils, and now we're talking New Zealand dollars, and I got these from the warehouse, so they were $30 for a kit. It's definitely not the cheapest way to paint. I would normally pay $7 for a tube of 75 mil paint, which would mixed up probably make close to 250 mil of mix once mixed with Floetrol. Probably, I don't know, maybe $9 for 250 mils mixed up. So you would get 3 of those for that. Yeah, No. Financially, it is not the best way to do this, but what we're going to find out today is, are they worth it if you just want to make a pretty picture and you like the colours that are in one of the sets? That's the important part. Why? Because if you don't like the colours and you need to buy 3 different sets to get the 4 colours that you do like, that's definitely not financially viable. But if you don't want to play around and get your mix right, then that is when you can end. These can be amazing if they work. So I'm going to do the if they work bit for you now, and we will see what the result is. One brand that I trialed, premix, amazing pours, but dried terribly. Another brand, varying results. Every time I poured, I got completely different results. The light blue took over completely, which is not what I wanted. Yeah, so it's really up to you. Oh, they've got seals on them. Okay, cool. I have not poured with these yet. So we are just going to do a typical dirty cup pour. So if you're new to acrylic pouring, what a dirty cup pour is where you put all your colours into the cup and just let them. Ooh, oh, I love that colour. Oh, yum. I'm a blue girl, by the way. That so looks like phthalo blue. That really does make me think of phthalo blue. Yeah, dirty cup pour is where you put all the colours. Ew. Gross. Into one cup. Not trying to sit them on top, just letting them all mix together in the cup. And then these do have little, flip tops with thingy whatsits in them, but I have to take the tops off to get these little seals off to start with anyway. Yum. Oh, the other thing that I noticed with one of the other premixes was how translucent some of the colours were, and that's what caused some of the problems with the drying process. Oh, that's not gonna... Need to get that one out as well for that to work. If you've got colours underneath your translucent colours, they can disappear. Now this canvas is, how much paint do we need? This canvas is a 8" by 10". And the way I guesstimate how much paint I need is I say, right, 8 times 10 is 80. Make that millilitres. And then add some. Alright, now this cup is not marked. Oh, yes it is. Oh, I lied. There we go. Let's have a look, can we see? What does that say? 75. Okay, so we need some more. Let's go a bit more white. And the higher you pour from, oh, sorry, bring you back to the canvas, that would be a good idea. The higher you pour from, the further it goes down into the pot. So if I pour from up high, it pushes it down further, mixes it more, and you can end up with quite funky colours. So I'm going to go with that amount of paint on this canvas. Put these lids back on so I don't knock them over as soon as they are wide open. and zoom you back out so you can see what's going on. So here we go. So dirty cup. Now you could either just pour this out or do what we call a flip cup. So I'm going to do a dirty cup flip cup, which is one of the easiest ones to do. You don't have to try and get colours to sit on top of each other. You don't have to try and do anything. And if you saw what I did there, I put the canvas upside down on top of the cup, then flipped the whole lot over, if that makes sense. And I'm just letting the paint just kind of recombobulate itself. And then we're going to splurt it out. And I must say already I'm loving those colours together. Good choices, Reeves. Oddly enough, partly why I chose it was because of the colours, because I love purple and I love blue, and white's always a good base colour. Alright, just letting that sit for a little bit. There's some air bubbles in it, generated from when I shook the bottles and also from the squirting in of the paint. So they've come up and popped. One of the things to look at when you are using a new formula of paint is how it interacts with heat and movement. And in acrylic pouring we tend to use this is a butane torch. Can you see that? No, maybe just so I can hold my hand here and it's only just warm, okay, and that's about how far away you want to be from your paint, because you don't want to burn the paint and you definitely do not want to create a skin from drying it out too much. And what I'm seeing is just the air bubbles popping. I'm not seeing any silicone type cells showing up on there. So those are just where the air bubbles have popped, and you can then see the colours that the air bubble was in because it's opened it up and exposed it. So look at that. That is yummy. I like that. Just there. Okay, so we've not got any cells come up. I'm sure you could definitely add silicone to get cells if you wanted to, but let's spread this out and see what it does. And then let's run it down to this bottom corner and down to this bottom corner and then down to that one, and let's get it to go over the edges so that we get some funky stuff happening on the edges too. Okay, and you can always pick up some of the stuff that's fallen off and help that to run over. There she blows. Check all the edges and pop it down and have a look at it. Alright, so literally it is that easy, guys. There you have quite a funky looking painting with no trying at all. Like, this can be that ease. It can be that that simple. It can be fun with kids. We're here in New Zealand. We are going into school, Christmas holidays. It's our summer break. I know some kids have got like 8 weeks of holiday. Others have mean parents, like my children, and they have to work, but that's okay. They're old enough to be expecting to be able to buy themselves cars and computers and things like that, so they can make their own money. So that's definitely a good start. I am actually not going to do anything else to this. I'm going to just leave it to explore its own future. It's definitely a lot thicker than the previous paint. I'm very, very grateful for that. And kind of, when I was tipping it, kind of almost had a PVA kind of feel to the consistency. And just, so why am I popping all the air bubbles? If you leave the air bubbles and they sit there just as a little mound in your paint, as the paint dries, it's like a cavern caving in. That top layer skins up, gets dry, and then as the whole paint collapses, you actually end up with little divots, little craters in your painting. Well, or not so little, depending on how big your air bubble is. And that can be something that a lot of people don't like. One way around that is to shake your paint, let it stand for an hour, and then do your pouring. I'm never that organised. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go paint. And I go paint. Anyway, so I'm going to move that aside and show you another quick, cool little trick that I love to do with what runs off. Look at this. We have quite a bit run off, and that is always going to happen. You're always going to get some runoff if you want the edges covered. So let me just zoom you in and show you what's there. Now, what I have here are little, what we call cabochons. And they're called cabochons because of the shape they are. They're rounded on the top and flat on the bottom. And that is a gemstone cut. And what I like to do with these is come in, let me just pick one up without getting the bottom dirty. Dropped it. Okay, so this is the rounded top that you can see here, and the flat side under here. And this here is a piece of what we call in New Zealand blue tack, but also known as poster putty, that sort of type thing that you would use to put things up on the wall. It's like sticky, gooey gum. It's almost like chewing gum that's no longer slobbery, but not set yet, but it stays like that. And then I've got that on the end of a stick. So just like a little stirring stick. And so here we have our cabochon, flat side pointing out, and a little handle. Okay, just going to polish that on my shirt because I have a painting shirt on. And then I'm going to dip it into this paint here. And you just sort of drop it in, roll it in. It only really needs to touch. And what it does is it picks up the design that was there. And you can see it through the dome. Okay. It's not the prettiest, but I wanted to show you how to do that. That's one of the things that you can do with your runoff paint. What you do is just turn it over so it's paint side up and put it down on a flat surface and leave it to dry. Okay. Now what do we do with the rest of this paint? We don't waste that either. Well, I don't. You can if you like. What I like to do is find a piece of cardboard, and I usually have a whole stack of them, and this is the inside of a cereal box. Okay, just pull you out a little bit further, and I'm just gonna run round. I've got a piece of plastic over top of this paint, the paper that's my background, and I'm just gonna pull it onto, using a spatula, a piece of cardboard. Now there is a specific size I am looking to create with this. And that size is the size that I use to make greeting cards. I buy plain white cards from, most stationers have them. Places like Kmart and Target and things like that. They have packs of like 50 with envelopes that you can use to do card making on. And I cut out a piece that's just slightly smaller than the front of the card and stick it on, and it's really pretty, and it's a personalized piece of my art as a card. So I'm going to let that dry. And how do I let it dry? I have baking trays, and you just lay it down on the baking tray and leave it to dry. The cardboard sometimes warps, and if you've got paint on the underside, that can sometimes stick it to the back, but that's okay because nobody's going to see the back. They're only going to see that beautiful piece there. That's super pretty. I like it. I like it a lot. Alright, so let's put these two pieces aside to dry, and I will be back in a few seconds your time, and in about, I don't know, depends. I wonder if it will be dry in 24 hours. That's a good question. I should check on it. Alright, so I will see you back here in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we are now 22.5 hours after I poured this. I've come out to my studio and I thought, oh, I'll just have a look and see how our 24-hour dry period's going. I have this under a cake food protection thingy, fly protector, just because we do have flies circling even as I speak. It's spring here in New Zealand, so let me just lift this off and have a look. And as you can see, there is reflection happening in there, which tells me it's still quite wet. Yeah, that is very wet. Look at that. The edges are starting to dry. Can you see that where it changes from the matte, where you can see the canvas shape there, to more of a smooth wet look? So the edges are drying, but we're certainly not going to make our 24-hour sealable situation. So if you are planning a Christmas Eve project in order to give it on Christmas Day, I would be turning up the heater, but not too bad, too quickly, otherwise you will end up with cracks in your paint. So I'll be back this time tomorrow to check out how 48 hours goes. Alright, it's dry. How's it get any better than this? And it hasn't moved. It hasn't done anything really super weird. I am so happy. It's definitely changed, and you know, you guys have just come over from the dry ones. Sorry, the wet ones. So you know that it's definitely darkened up. But all paint does that, and that's just because, you know, the paint the color molecules get closer together as the evaporation process and the drying process happens. But it hasn't moved. And if you've watched some of my previous videos recently, I tried another paint premix and it went really weird. Now, as you can imagine, I have lots of playing to do with this paint. I haven't gone ahead and done more playing because I wanted to see how this first one showed up, and it took about 3 days for it to completely dry. So the 24-hour dry time, not recommended, but there's definitely no oily patches on there that would stop you going ahead and sealing it now. And I would be quite happy to seal it. Actually, what I'm going to do now is give it a quick spray with my spray sealer. Where are we? Gloss. Do not do this without respiratory and well ventilated areas, etc. I usually do it outside. But I'm just going to give it a single coat in front of you and just show you how those colours pop back up. They've definitely brightened just that touch, and that's one reason why we seal paintings. It's acrylic paint. It's basically plastic. It does not need to be sealed. But by sealing it, it can pop those colours back out. So I do recommend that. Yeah. I really like this. As you can imagine, I am going to have a play with this paint, adding silicone and all that stuff. And I've also got the metallics to add to it to see what they do. Pre-mix metallics. So, you know, as I said at the beginning, guys, I love Reeves brand normally, and I'm really pleased with this. It doesn't give the amazing cell action that some of the other ones do, but that's where you can add the silicone, or you can have it with no cells, and a lot of people don't like the cells, so gives you that option. So from this first painting, I'm giving it a 2 thumbs up, which I only have 2, so that's the best I can do. Not a sponsored video. Bought these paints with my own money from the warehouse here in New Zealand. I don't even know if they're available on Amazon or anything like that. I will check it out and link it in the description if it is. But guys, if you have a chance to play with them, I recommend them, that's for sure. Let's have a look how our little cabochon came out. Let's have... Now, that is sticking quite nicely to the glass, which is good. Previous ones have just sort of rubbed off, which isn't so good. So there's the cabochon. It's pretty. I like that. And then we also have our piece of card that with the leftover paint. As you guys know, I hate to waste paint. And there's some fun action in there, and I'll get a nice card chopped out of there. So so far I am super pleased with this paint. I will be doing more playing with paint coming up soon. So if you've enjoyed this video and want to see what else I create with these, please hit that subscribe button. Make sure that the little bell notification has been not only clicked but changed to all notifications. That way you'll know when I go live, and I do have a live coming up in the next within the next week. Absolutely, definitely within the next week. Before Christmas there will be a oh goodness me, my brain is funny. We're doing Christmas with my family on the Sunday the 20th, and then we're going down to Nelson to spend Christmas with Glenn's family for actual Christmas. So we're getting 2 Christmases, which is exciting. And when you do that, nearly a week in advance, 5 days early, you tend to get a bit confused in your head. So sometime in the next week I will be going live, I promise. So I will let you all know through the subscribed email list, and those of you on Patreon, I will definitely give you a heads up and the Zoom link for you to come and talk to me live. So how much fun can we have? What else is possible? And what can you be or do today to create the life and living you desire? I adore you guys. I hope you've had lots of fun and planning lots of fun, choosing lots of fun, and I will see you in the coming days. Bye bye.